This just in! Breaking news! Our top story tonight, Donald Trump is working to send money directly to Americans. So a supplement to income on a base level that applies universally. That's a great idea. Can't believe no one's thought of that before. Next up, unless you're an approved media agency, YouTube has been removing any revenue from videos that include the word coronavirus. Oh, fuck. Up next, a cyber attack hits the US Department of Health amidst coronavirus chaos. If the health department wasn't ready for one virus, they're definitely not ready for two. The new Fast and Furious movie has been delayed by almost a year. They also announced they're rebranding to The Slow and the Steady. In other news, Rob Gronkowski signs with the WWE. That's it. That's the joke. Up next, gyms across the country have been closing amidst fears of the coronavirus. That's right, Peloton boyfriend isn't such a jerk now, is he? To combat the potential upcoming recession, last week the Fed announced a $1.5 trillion package to help bail out the market. Finally, some much needed relief. In other news, US stock market loses $3 trillion. Guatemala officially bans Americans from entering their country. Their president said, quote, "They're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing corona. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people." Florida man and Democrat nominee for governor found in a hotel room with crystal meth. Sorry, bud, you're not the first Democrat to run that platform. Oh wait, that was math. With sports out of commission and casinos closed, degens are losing their minds. In fact, some of them are resorting to playing heads up for rolls. Next up, two elderly men yell at each other. No, wrong image.
But are they wrong on that, Bernie?
Okay.
Are they wrong on that, Bernie?
Joe.
Bernie,
Joe.
did you miss?
Joe, what?
Some of this and more tonight on News. Before we jump into our topics today, I want to let you know there's going to be a small change in posting schedule. Basically, we've been posting our videos too late. And while I think the videos have been very good so far, they do take a while to produce and edit. So because of that, we're going to start posting in the morning. 9 a.m. Pacific time will be our new posting time, Tuesday through Saturday. So if you want to come and check out the video right as it's posted, 9 a.m. Pacific time, I'll see you guys there. So back on topic, and that topic, of course, is the coronavirus. I know we've been talking about it a lot lately, but this story is a massive one, and it keeps having more and more events break. And the thing about the coronavirus is that it might not seem so scary when it's in another country or when it's not in your state. But then once it's in your city, once it's in your town, once it's where you live, all of a sudden it gets a lot more scary. And I personally have started to feel these exact effects, which is why this story hit me so hard when I saw that the Spearmint Rhino had closed its stores. My weekends will never be the same. But the US government has been stepping up to the plate with some big plans to try and fix things. And one of those plans is from Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary. Mnuchin said yesterday that we have put a proposal on the table that would inject $1 trillion into the economy. The $1 trillion possibility would be a combination of loans and direct checks to individuals. An administration official told CNBC that 500 to 550 billion would be dedicated to direct payments and tax cuts for individual Americans. 200 to 300 billion would go to small businesses, and 50 to 100 billion would be allotted for airline relief. This means that ordinary everyday Americans may see a check for over 1,000 just free dollars. So I guess you could say sometimes there really is a free lunch. You just have to eat it by yourself. Giving people free money, that's not going to make everybody happy, especially one guy.
A number of my members think there are considerable shortcomings in the House bill. My counsel to them is to gag and vote for it anyway, even if they think it has some shortcomings, and to address those shortcomings in the bill that we're in the process of crafting.
That's right, Republicans. Sometimes you just got to gag and vote for something anyway. I mean, Mitch McConnell's been an expert in this for years.
We occasionally have these great crises, and when they occur, we're able to rise above our normal partisanship and many times our normal positions.
So that means even you at home right now, if you're in America, might receive a check for 1,000 free American dollars. I know what you're thinking. Where am I supposed to spend it now? This proposed solution starts to beg one serious question. What are we supposed to do right now? What type of laws should the government change? What type of relief should the government administer? What should businesses be doing? What should workers be doing? Should workers be getting paid just to stay home? What if businesses can't afford to pay them? Should the government be paying them? Is that something we can afford to do long run? What are we supposed to be doing? And my personal take is that I have no idea. I make videos on the internet. It's also why I feel when I see someone with a really strong opinion, we need to do X thing for sure. And it's like, well, what makes you say that? Do you have some kind of background in economics where you study the intricacies of the current situation and understand all of the long-term repercussions? I feel like in general, people just take a super hard stance on something without much knowledge because, frankly, no one's going to call them out for doing that. Which is why in this time of crisis, I'm going to do what all great minds do and look at the YouTube comments section. There's always really good solutions in there. But what do you guys think? What should happen from here? You can take a US perspective or a world perspective or your own country perspective. What do you think should be done right now to help mitigate the upcoming problems because of the coronavirus? Moving on to our next topic, YouTube has been demonetizing any videos that use the word coronavirus. The exception has been for certain approved accounts, which are really big accounts and a lot of times news agencies, so they can run ads on this stuff, but other people cannot make money by making similar-ish content. I get that YouTube is probably trying to look out for people. They're trying to avoid the, Alex Joneses of the world selling toothpaste that will solve your coronavirus problem. And of course, if you haven't seen that video, make sure to check it out. I'll put a link in the description below. But they're trying to protect people from that type of behavior. But at the same time, it also makes it so that only the established people can make money from it. I do think there should be some kind of middle ground that makes sense. I mean, to date, I've been rolling in the bucks making money on the coronavirus. Whew. Hell of a month. YouTube has also said they're going to be lowering the amount of manual human reviews on accounts because of the coronavirus, which is great because that's what I think about with YouTube. Not enough algorithms. But you know what? This is not the time for picking fights. We need to rally together. And you know what? Google, for all their flaws, they're a huge company. And at the end of the day, they're going to dig deep and do what's right for their shareholders. Moving on, I'm seeing more and more of a rising conflict between millennials and the baby boomers. And of course, this was highlighted by the term boomer removal, which sure maybe was more of a Gen Z thing than it was millennials, but the point is the same. Young generations of people have no money, and they feel that the system is not built to allow them to succeed. Whereas boomers, they had really cheap college, very good jobs, lots of good opportunities to invest their money in the stock market, and ability to buy cheap housing. And I don't really need to go on. I just feel like the older generations views millennials and young people in general as lazy. And if they were working hard like it was back in my day, well, they would be doing just as well. And that's simply not true. College is way more expensive and the squeeze has been put on the younger generations. That's why the wealth gap between these generations is huge. I mean, look at this chart of the wealth of people between the millennials and the baby boomers. And I think we're seeing this play out with a lot of younger people not really caring that much if the virus spreads because it doesn't impact them. And I think it's a very harmful attitude to have. I see so many of these posts on social media. People that are like, I'm not letting this affect me. Here's me hanging out with all my friends eating a cheeseburger because I'm not going to die. But that's not the point. The point isn't are you going to die or not. The point is if you don't flatten the curve on the amount of cases that are happening across the country, your decision helps spread the virus to people that really could be affected. But I can already see what the younger generation is going to have to say. Hey there, old timer, why don't you just pull your immune system up by its bootstraps and show that coronavirus who's boss? That's what I would have done back in my day. My day, of course, being today. Now, don't get me wrong. Most people aren't doing this and going out living their lives normally because they don't care about old people. Most people are doing it because they're dumb. But some people don't seem to care that much about the older generation. And I think this is part of why we're seeing candidates like Bernie Sanders manage to rally younger people together. The reason is because a lot of people feel like the system isn't really helping them, and it's something as a society we should watch moving forward. Our final story tonight is on the impact that one individual can have when it comes to spreading the virus. Now, what's really cool about analyzing coronavirus, and it just shows you how advanced our science is is that you can tell which strains came from where, or you can actually identify how many patients down the strain the person is relative to the initial patient, and you can analyze where it came from. This allows us to have very good, accurate data on how it spreads and who it spreads through. One of the messed up things was when people started stereotyping Asian people, or more specifically Chinese people, as the people that might spread it to them. It wasn't the Chinese at all. In fact, Italians were the ones that spread this to many parts of the world. And the strain that started in New York City actually came from Iran. A big part of this was because China used effective quarantine measures, whether they were reasonable or not, and was able to control it because of that. This article shows where the patients in Korea, the first patients, got the coronavirus from, and how many people that their contact with spread the virus to. So we can see here that the first 5 people in South Korea that had it all contracted it from Wuhan. Patient number 6 was the first to contract it locally. Some people we can see spread it to many more people than others. Number 6 was also 4 other cases locally that spread to other people, including one of whom spread to 422 contacts, which seems especially crazy. But it gets even more crazy when we go down to patient number 31, who spread it to 1,160 contacts. Patient 31 spread the coronavirus like 2016 spread the Harambe meme. It was everywhere. So next time you're thinking to yourself, well, I might have it, but what does it matter? I'll just go to lunch and head down to church. Remember that your decision could impact hundreds or even over 1,000 other people. And then when we think to future cases from those cases, this is an exponential ball game. Small decisions can have a huge effect. So if it's close and you're on the fence, stay home, self-quarantine, and maybe you'll save the lives of other people. Also, you don't have to wear any pants. It's pretty good. Thank you for joining me here today. Remember, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time, we'll have another vid for you. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you again tomorrow.